Last night, Joe Biden delivered his first speech to a joint session of Congress, the Senate coming over to the House of Representatives to hear Joe Biden deliver this speech. Not called the State of the Union. It's typically not called the State of the Union when it's a president's first year in office, but it is essentially a State of the Union. And Joe Biden did lay out his plan for a $1.8 trillion spending package, including funding paid leave, community college, and all of the things we previewed in some detail yesterday. So I won't redo the policy proposal nitty gritty again, but it was overall a very policy heavy speech. This could not have been more different from recent State of the Union addresses from Donald Trump, which contained almost no policy. But Trump aside, even compared to Barack Obama, compared to George W. Bush before him, it was really just a focus on policy with very little vapid political rhetoric. Now, that's not necessarily good or bad. Vapid political rhetoric can be a good thing if it's inspirational or it coalesces people, or it can be nonsense or whatever. But this was really a focus on policy, a focus on vaccination. Even Ted Cruz here applauding after Joe Biden announces 220 million vaccine doses in 100 days and urges everybody to get themselves vaccinated.
Right now, right away. Go get vaccinated, America. Go and get the vaccination. They're available. You're eligible now.
Joe Biden talking about those vaccination numbers, but also talking a lot about job creation.
While this was all going on, the economy created more than 1,300,000 new jobs in 100 days. More jobs in the first 100 days than any president on record. The International Monetary Fund
Now, of course, that is true. Context does matter. We were and are in a recovery period from an externally motivated job loss caused by the pandemic. Now, many of those jobs are coming back. You expect any president to brag about job growth, whether or not they had a hand in it. It is still a good thing, but it is important to understand the context. Many of these jobs would be coming back regardless of who was president. I'd rather it be Joe Biden than Donald Trump for sure. Joe Biden then jumping right into talking about the economy and talking about the importance of unions, much to Bernie Sanders' delight.
And unions built the middle class. So that's why I'm calling on Congress to pass Protect the Right to Organize Act, the PRO Act, and send it to my desk so we can support the right to unionize. And by the way,
and Joe Biden then, much to the pleasure of most Democrats in the crowd, but not Mitt Romney and Lauren Boebert and others, saying, let's raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Let's raise the minimum wage to $15. No one working 40 hours a week, should live below the poverty line. We need to ensure greater equity and opportunity for women. And while we're doing this, let's get the Paycheck Fairness Act to my desk as well. Equal pay. They spent much too long. And if you wonder whether it's too long, look behind me.
Joe Biden also laying out how he will pay for much of these ideas, saying the rich will pay. And Mitt Romney didn't seem particularly thrilled with that either.
Time for corporate America and the wealthiest 1% of Americans to just begin to pay their fair share. Just their fair share. Sometimes I have arguments with my friends in the Democratic Party. I think you should be able to become a billionaire and a millionaire, but pay your fair share.
And on economics, a moment that many people liked, which got a lot of attention, Joe Biden saying straight up, trickle-down economics has never worked.
My fellow Americans, trickle down. Trickle down economics has never worked. And it's time to grow the economy from the bottom and the middle out. You know,
now, I love this because I already planned later today to talk about Joe Biden and Bidenomics, as they are being called, as the antithesis to Reaganomics. That line, trickle-down economics has never worked, is actually part of it, saying it as directly as anybody can, and we're going to come back to that in more detail. On foreign policy, Joe Biden pointing out that he's just getting out of Afghanistan, something that Republicans loved when it was Trump who announced it. Trump failed to do it. Joe Biden is doing it, and Republicans are no longer clapping about it.
Stern deterrence. And American leadership means ending the forever war in Afghanistan. We have without hyperbole, the greatest fighting force in the history of the world. I'm the first president in 40 years and knows what it means to have a son serving in a war zone. Today, we have service members serving in the same war zone as their parents did. We have service members in Afghanistan who are not yet born on 9/11. The war in Afghanistan, as we remember the debates here, were never meant to be multi-generational undertakings of nation building.
Of course, it was never really about just getting out of Afghanistan. It was, can we cheer for something Trump is doing? Biden now is actually going to do the thing we cheered Trump for announcing, but we don't cheer anymore because we are merely political hypocrites. Real quick, here is Senator Ted Cruz sleeping during the speech. He looked very, very sleepy, apparently dreaming of Cancun. And Joe Biden ultimately closing out his speech. Take a listen to that.
It's never, ever, ever been a good bet to bet against America, and it still isn't. We're the United States of America. There's not a single thing, nothing beyond our capacity. We can do whatever we set our minds to if we do it together. So let's begin to get together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you for your patience.
Some of the people in the camp of Biden is a weakling and he's old and senile and demented were expecting a very short speech and a very incoherent speech. Biden going much longer than recent presidents have during their first joint addresses to Congress, and very coherent. I thought it was a well-written speech. I thought it was about the right duration. I often think things are too long. I think it was about the right duration. And now actually comes the tough part, which is Joe Biden has laid out a variety of different policy ideas. Can Joe Biden get any of what he proposed done? And that is certainly easier said than done when not only do you have zero Republican support in the House and Senate for anything you want to do, but it's not even clear you have the support of all of the Democrats in the Senate either. And we will talk about that as these proposals become more formalized and start to be debated. One of our sponsors today is COVID Rescue Fund. COVID Rescue Fund is helping small business owners who have lost their businesses during COVID. There are over 100,000 small businesses that have had to close their doors since the pandemic began. There are many organizations out there helping businesses who are still open to stay afloat, but COVID Rescue Fund is one of the few organizations working to help businesses reopen who have had to close. COVID Rescue Fund crowdsources funds to provide grants up to $100,000 for these owners to create new businesses. I would implore anyone in my audience to help COVID Rescue Fund in their mission by donating at covidrescuefund.org. All money that you give is going to the mission, not to compensating people who work for the organization. The founders of COVID Rescue Fund are big fans of the David Pakman Show. Let's help them bring back as many small businesses as we can. The link is right underneath this video.